What's up, everyone? It's Pete Ciotti with the Grit Podcast, episode 17. Really excited for my guest. You know what? He was my first guest, and me and Nick were just talking about this earlier. The first ever podcast I did was March 11th, 2024. I was looking it up here, and that was with my next guest, Aaron Stacy. What's happening, bud?
Hey, buddy. How are you? Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you, man. So yeah, man, let's get into it. How you been? First of all.
Oh, I'm thriving.
You're thriving.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah.
No, I'm doing well.
You got your Oregon Cascades 100 shirt on?
Yeah. I figured since I'm coming on your podcast, I might want to throw on a race shirt.
Yeah.
I haven't worn them in a while.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you ran that race in 2023 or 24?
Oregon Cascades was my last one, so that was last year. Yeah.
That was your last big ultra?
Yeah.
Your last ultra?
And it might be my last one. I don't know.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. What's up? Let's dive into that. So you were coaching running for a couple years with Primal Run Coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You stopped doing that pretty much at the end of 2024.
Yeah.
And you're not really running as much these days, not doing races. You're just kind of moving on.
Yeah. I'm not going to say I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never say never, but I think right now, with what I got going on in my life, I don't really see the time to be able to commit to something like that right now. So a few things with the run coaching, I was really enjoying it, but as you know, I'm fully employed already.
Right.
And it was Primal Run Coaching was getting to be pretty successful. And, you know, I think I was up to like 17, 18 athletes.
Yeah.
And it was turning into a second full-time job.
Right.
And it was consuming all my free time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd come home from work, sit on the couch every evening for the only couple hours that I have available with my family, you know, and I was answering text messages and phone calls and responding to my athletes who I love to death, but and then preparing plans, and that was my life. You know? And it was just like, this is really cutting into my family time and my time. You know, I was cutting into my personal training time also, not just my family time, which was a priority. But so I made the decision to just kind of back out, and I found as you know, and I placed most of my athletes with other coaches, and just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
So it's been really good. As far as the racing goes, it's kind of a two-part thing. Well, you know, I coach basketball.
Right.
So that's something that a lot of people don't know about me. That's something I've done since I was about 20 years old. I mean, I've done it every year of my life since I was 20, and it's kind of the only thing I'm good at.
Come on.
And I've coached all my kids. You know, I coached high school basketball when I was living down south, and when I moved up here, my kids were all of age to start playing. So I coached their middle school and junior high teams, and I'm on my last one now. And
for those of you who don't know, Aaron has 5 children.
Yeah.
Fully grown children. One that got married. One of your daughters got married.
No, my son.
My son got married. I'm sorry.
The one in the Marine Corps. Yeah.
Right, in the Marine Corps. So you have 5 kids, and you're currently coaching your son, Bo, right?
My youngest, yeah. He's 13.
Right, yeah.
You're
busy. So, I mean, when he says he had to stop doing the coaching and the running, this guy is... I mean, you're training every day.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to keep up the Instagram page every day. You had to keep the coaching.
Oh, don't get me started on the social media.
I know.
That's a whole other animal that I began to despise.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
It can take over your life for sure. But the results were there. You had an amazing side business going there. I mean, like you said, you had a lot of athletes. Everyone loved it and adored it. I know a lot of the athletes that you coached. I know them. I've had a couple of them on my podcast. They're all really great people. They all learned a lot and grew as runners, like exponentially, just amazing. So the work was you put the work in. So I can only imagine coming home after a long day. You work for the California Highway Patrol, and you come home every day to your family, and you got to sit there and get on the iPad and work on the plans and deal with all the work. And you know, as much love and support as you put into it, it's just it's a grind for sure.
Yeah, and you know how we did things over there. I mean, I wanted. My idea was that I would be your coach in your back pocket. So wherever anytime you needed me, you just ring me, and I'm there.
True.
And that sounds good in theory, and it's good for the athlete, but it in the long term, it's not good for the coach.
Yeah, it's
So,
just too much.
and they were respectful. They weren't calling me at midnight or texting me at midnight, but they were texting me at 7, 8 o'clock in the evening sometimes.
Mhm.
That's family time, that's dinner time, that's I'm
Mhm.
out with date time with my wife,
Right,
stuff like that.
right.
So it was getting to become a grind,
Yeah, with
and
coaching, it's so tough because, like, where do you draw the line? If people have your number and they have ways to contact you, and you kind of don't put up, you told me this because I'm coaching a little bit now. It's just like you got to kind of put up a little bit of a boundary there, and just like have your boundaries and have that well established, because otherwise, yeah, you will get those late night texts and people calling and all that kind of stuff. And it's where do you draw the line there? And you're not a therapist.
yeah,
That's one thing I've learned a lot lately is just, yeah, I'm not here to be a therapist. I'm here to be a coach, and they are two different things. So, yeah, that's really tough, man.
yeah.
That's tough.
You know, I, that time that I was spending with coaching runners, I wanted to devote that time to my family and to coaching my boys. Like I
Yeah,
said,
for
that's
sure.
that's
That's
really
awesome.
what I've done my whole life, and
Yeah,
that's what I know the best. And they play and they take it serious. And
yeah,
I wanted to be able to give them that.
right.
So
And so people know out there, Aaron invited me to a game last year when he was my coach. He said, "Come see a basketball game." It's not we're not talking about just like pickup basketball or a rec league or anything like that. You're coaching his school,
Mhm.
and you're competing, and you're going out to up here. It's the JC's tournament, which is amazing. They
Oh,
throw it in
it's
Crescent City,
huge.
and you guys you almost win the damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you compete every year. I saw the kids playing. They're shooting threes. They're playing defense. You're out there on the court, running up and down the court, screaming and hollering. It's like it's a big deal, and it's awesome. And to see that growth and to be able to coach that in your kid, I mean, that's an amazing thing. I was there. I coached my kids through baseball and stuff like that too, and basketball as well. Not as competitively as you. I mean, you got a great team. It was fun to watch. But yeah, that's an amazing thing. I mean, there's nothing like being a father.
Yeah.
Nothing like it at all.
And this year, I'm actually I'm leaving Bo, my youngest. I'm
Mhm.
leaving Rio Dale, and I'm going to the high school to
Yeah,
to assist with the varsity team.
that's so cool.
So that's going to be it's going to consume so much more of my time now.
Hmm.
But the one opportunity I have there is my oldest, or my middle son rather, Jack. He's on the varsity team, so he's
Okay.
a senior. So I'll be able to coach him one more year. So
Oh, okay. I see.
so that's not why I'm doing it, but it's
That's
a perk.
pretty cool.
It's a perk,
Yeah,
something
big perk.
I didn't foresee myself being able to do is coach him one more time because I
Yeah.
coached him all through middle school and junior high. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah,
It's
that
going to be
is really
fun.
cool.
And then I'll be there. I'll be hopefully I can be there and help the program and Bo will be there next year.
Yeah,
The following year after he
cool.
graduates junior high. So, but in my mind, I see myself being there for quite a while if the school will keep me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quick offshoot question though. Have you been following the NBA playoffs at all?
No,
No, not at all.
absolutely not.
You're a college guy
Yeah,
more? You're
college.
more of a college guy? Really?
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I mean, I follow it through my two boys 'cause they
Yeah,
tell me
they're
about
into
it.
it. Yeah,
They'll
yeah,
tell
yeah.
me about. They're not that into it, but
Yeah.
they are a little bit.
Yeah.
They follow it. We don't
Pretty
watch it, but they
controversial
follow it.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
I'm
end
not
of the
really
games. Yeah.
into
As a Knicks fan, last night or yesterday, it was a pretty controversial ending. So college basketball. So you think the boys are going to try to pursue basketball at the college level?
I don't know if Jack will, but Bo's still young enough that that's
Into it.
his dream. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
For
wild.
sure. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
so
see.
cool. Yeah, it's so cool being able to be involved with your kids like that. That's like, I mean, yeah, those are bonus time. That's bonus time. I always felt like anytime my kids were playing after the age of like 10, it was just bonus years, that
Yeah.
I got to coach them or help them. And my son Pete, he's graduating this year at high school. We played baseball all the way through high school. It's pretty fun,
Mhm.
pretty cool to watch.
But
And
it's fun because it's not just time that I get to spend with Jack or Bo coaching them, but
Mhm.
it's I get to
all
spend
the
time
other
with
kids.
my wife, my girls. I mean,
Mhm.
we the way we raise our kids is we kind of demand that they go to each other's things, you know. And I
Very
say
cool.
demand because kids are kids, and
Yeah.
they can be selfish sometimes, and they got stuff going on that they
Right.
want. But it's important that our kids all support each other.
That's
You know,
awesome.
and sometimes they're there reluctantly, but it is what it is. You
Yeah.
know, but all my kids, you will always. Unless they have something very important going on that night,
Mhm.
they'll always be at each other's games or
So cool.
events. Yeah, that's pretty important to us.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
So it's more than just spending time with my boys on the court. I mean, it's family time all
Yeah.
the way around. Yeah.
So you definitely sound like you just invested in the family 100% and kind of like running was kind of taking a lot of your time away from those things
It
that you
was,
love.
you know, and to get back to your original question
Mhm.
about me running and possibly racing and, um, you know, this race, Oregon Cascades, and the one prior to that, they're getting. Oh, and then I did the big treadmill thing. I did that
That was
120 on the
cool. We'll talk about that in a
120 on the
second. Yeah.
treadmill.
Let's do that.
Um, they're getting hard on the body, man. You know, and like each, you know, it's kind of hard to say, you know, unless you're an ultra runner, it's hard
Yeah.
to understand that these can be fun. Like there's an element of
Right.
fun there,
Yeah,
you
totally.
know, because you're suffering the whole time. Like running is one of the single hardest things a human
Yep.
being can do, like running
Absolutely.
distance. Um, but it was just getting to the point where the hips and the knees
Mm.
were, and I was always working on strengthening them and doing the things, but
Yeah.
it was getting to a point where every race, like they were taking a pounding, and to the point where it just wasn't that fun. It
Yeah.
felt like I was running with an injury as opposed to just fatigued legs, you know? Like there's
Yeah.
a difference.
Yeah.
And and it was kind of just sucking the joy out of what I was doing.
Yeah. It sucks.
Um so I think if I did race again, I might pursue some smaller events, you know, maybe 50Ks, you know,
Okay.
50 mile or something along those
Yeah.
lines if I do it again. Um you know, the other thing too is you know that fitness has been a whole
Yeah.
part of me
Huge.
my entire life.
Right.
And and as I'm getting older, I'm, you know, my mindset's kind of changing about like where my fitness is going. You
Sure.
know, like I'm at a point now because I'm 47.
Yeah.
We're the same age,
Same
right?
age. Yep.
That I'm looking at kind of longevity. You know, I want to go
Absolutely.
into my later years strong,
Yeah.
you know, and fit. I don't want to use a walker. I don't want to have a hip
Yeah.
replacement. I don't
Totally.
want all these things. And I'm not implying that running will do that, but I want to spend more time in the gym building muscle mass. I
Yeah.
want to carry that muscle mass into my later year, my golden years. You
Yeah.
know,
Because you lose it. You
yes,
lose
you
like
lose
what,
it.
3% every decade?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
lose it.
That's a lot.
Every day you get older, you lose it at a greater rate.
Right.
And that's why people go into, you know, they're having hip replacements and knee replacements at 65,
Yeah.
70 years old.
Totally.
You know, I don't want that, you know,
Yeah.
and bad back. I want to be able to coach for a long time. You know, it takes a healthy body and a healthy mind to be able to run up and down the sideline with those kids,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
into your 60s. And that's what I want to be able to do.
Yep.
You know, I want to be able to play with my grandkids, maybe coach them,
Yeah.
when they
That'd be
come
cool.
around,
Wouldn't that?
that kind of stuff. I want to be able to travel with my wife and do things, not just see things, but I want to do things, you know.
100%.
And I don't want to hurt when I'm doing it.
Yep.
So, you know, getting back to ultra running, I don't know that we run ultras for fitness.
No.
It's something I've been thinking about
It's
lately.
true.
You know, we do it for a reason. You
I
know,
train for
we're
fitness.
chasing something else. I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
But when it really boils down to fitness, like I think what we put our bodies through is pretty rough.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think if we were really training for fitness, we would probably be running, you know, we'd be doing 5 mile, 10 mile events,
True.
something more moderate.
Yeah. Right.
But once you get to a point in an ultra, like you're just almost destroying your body. And that's what we spent months and months building our body up for
Right.
that moment,
Yep.
you know.
And I get a lot of people asking me all the time, like, okay, so if that's the case, what the hell are you out there for?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, for me, it's mindset. More than anything, for me, it's just the mental game of ultras is really tough.
And I think the mental
you know,
game, I think that is what most people are chasing out there.
mhm, yeah.
And that's important,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's very important.
Yep.
Almost going to carry you a long way in life. But yeah, man, I uh I was frustrated too because you know how much time I spend in the gym, also just lifting weights and you know trying to make my body strong. And then, after a 100-mile event, it's just, I mean, you lose so much of that progress you made,
Yeah.
and then you get back to the gym and it's like starting over. It's kind of frustrating. I actually had, I'm going to name drop here. I actually had this conversation with Michael McKnight at the Tahoe 200 last year when I crewed and paced Thomas.
Yeah.
I bumped into Mike a couple of times and we talked about it because he's gotten real big into strength training
Right.
and lifting weights. And he had the same conversation, or him and I had that same conversation. And we've had it since a couple times over the phone. It's frustrating, he says, to lose that much progress after doing
Sucks, yeah.
Now, he's doing much bigger events
Sucks.
than I am. But it's frustrating,
Mhm.
and then have to go back in the gym and start over.
Yeah.
Start from square one. So.
Or just sit there and wait for a week to like recover, because sometimes you get so beat up at an ultra you can't even get back in the gym for a week. And
Yeah,
the gym is
exactly.
I look at a lot of it as like, I do train in the gym a lot and for to run ultras, but also the gym is kind of its own thing for me. I just enjoy going in the gym, working on muscle, working on fitness, separate of the fact that that's part of my training for running. So
Yeah.
I get antsy if I get after a race and something's hurting and I have to take all this time off, or it's prescribed time off from a coach or whatever. I'm just like, I just want to get in the gym.
Yeah.
Work out that energy,
Yeah.
because that energy's still in me and I just want to like get it out,
Yeah.
release. So it's really a challenge, man. It's just
I'll tell you
a
what
hard
though,
one.
man, I haven't felt this good in years.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Even through all the years I ran ultras and
Yeah.
stuff, and I did that, like, I'm probably running about, I still run. I'm probably running
Right.
about 3 days a week, sometimes
Okay.
4, for about an hour, maybe
Okay.
hour 15, and that's it, and I'm trail running. I haven't since I got off the treadmill back in December. I haven't my feet haven't touched pavement one time.
Yeah.
I haven't run in shoes since then. I threw the sandals back on.
Yeah, the barefoot sandals, right?
Yeah, yeah,
What kind of sandals do you run in?
I run in Luna sandals.
The Lunas. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I've been running in those.
Nice.
And, in fact, I'm wearing them right now.
Nice, yeah.
But I just hit the trails, and if I feel strong that day, I go hard. If I don't, I don't. I don't stress out about it.
That's chill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't stress out. I don't. I don't even record anything on Strava anymore. I just,
Yeah, you're just
I
totally
just
off.
kind of.
Yeah.
I wanted to become a ghost, and
Yeah. That's cool.
so I'm still in the gym and I'm still running, not as much as I was, but yeah, man, things are good.
That's
But
cool.
my body's never felt better. Like,
Yeah.
it feels strong, and like those 50, 60 mile weeks, they hurt,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but
I know.
I can spend 4 or 5, 5, 6 days a week in the gym for an hour and I don't hurt,
Yeah. True. Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a lot to it. Let's touch on the. Let's go back and touch on the treadmill experience. So, it was a few months back, I believe.
early December.
December.
Yeah.
Right. Early December before Christmas. You took on a challenge to run on a treadmill for 24 hours. Was it a 100-mile treadmill event or 24-hour?
A few years ago, I had done that 100-miler on the treadmill where I raised money for the fire department.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
And which was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And I wanted to do it. So at the time when I came up with this cockamamie idea, my intention was to probably run the Tahoe 200 here, next month or the month after. So I wanted to just know what it was like to run farther than 100 miles. 100 miles. I thought to myself, if I can push 120, 130, something along those lines, then maybe that'll give me a confidence booster, even though it's a completely different animal, treadmill versus, running over the mountain. But I did it anyhow, and I didn't tell anybody about it. I told a couple people just so I had some accountability.
Right.
I think I told you and a couple other people, but I didn't even tell the folks at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even know. I just picked a treadmill in the back room. I just showed up.
And you had access to it for
the gym. Our gym, Bodyworks, is open 24 hours.
Bodyworks in Fortuna.
Yeah, so it's a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Caleb, there you go, buddy.
There you
go. So it's a perfect situation. So I just picked and last time, because, I announced it and it was a big deal. It was a fundraiser. I had a treadmill out front so everyone, so the firemen could come in and people could help. But I wanted to be in the back by myself this time.
Yeah, cool.
And I just wanted to knock out 120 miles by myself.
Yeah, just knock it out, no big deal.
And it was cool. There was a few people that in the gym that knew what I was doing, and they were, a couple people would bring me snacks and homemade gifts or homemade snacks and stuff like
Crazy.
that. So there's just enough people there that made it feel kind of homey, and I had some support, and it was neat.
Yeah.
And kind of pick you up when you're just kind of in that lull, you're feeling down. In the morning, though, something that I forgot about is there's a big class that they put on.
Like a Zumba or something like that, or yoga.
It's a strength training class, but it's for older folks, and so there's a bunch of people in there.
Yeah.
There's probably 20 people in there, and they usually close that section of the gym during the class. And they came in, and I was like, "Oh, Cindy, I'm sorry." She runs the class. I'm like, I said, "I've been on this treadmill for I don't have any, 110 miles at this point or something." I said, "You mind if I finish?" I told her what I was doing. So,
oh my God.
So the entire end of my run, I had a whole cheer section there.
That's awesome.
So it was kind of cool.
That's cool.
It was kind of cool. But the majority of the run, I mean, you're at the gym, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're there by yourself. There's not one person in the gym. It's kind of cool,
It's chill.
A couple of times I hopped off to go to the bathroom and I poked my head around the corner and it was just, quiet. Yeah.
That's something else.
Yeah.
That's so wild, man. Yeah, like just something like that, just to see where you're at. I mean, that's another thing about ultras that I think when I do hang my hat and decide to be done with it, I won't miss is the trying to run into the late nights, 24 hours of running, all that. Like, it's new to me. I haven't even done it yet. But man, I love my sleep.
Really?
I mean, I love my sleep. I'm 47. I love to get 6 to 8 hours a day, especially having a newborn at the house. I'll take advantage of any sleep I can get.
Yeah.
But I'm also a 5 a.m. riser, so that's when I work out. That's when I go to the gym. That's when I run, for the most part. So, yeah, that's the one thing I'm just trying to get my head around, training for Pine to Palm, and I want to talk about that in a minute with you, is just the 24-hour experience, because I know,
love it. I love that part.
You do love it?
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think you told me once, when I went to run Lake Sonoma Sufferfest, which got canceled, but halfway through, but you said chew on caffeine.
There was
beans.
A couple of races I chewed on coffee beans.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it works.
That was your tip. I actually had some packed in my pack. I was ready for it. We'd done the loop, of the lake. I mean, we talked about Sufferfest in the last episode or two with Damien, but yeah, I mean, I was prepared. We ran around the lake, and of course, it was terrible. The weather was total shit, and they canceled it because the bridge was washed away.
Yeah.
But I was about ready as I was passing through, and right before Skip, the race director, came out and said, the race is canceled. You just got to finish this next 3 miles and you're done.
Yeah.
Before he said that, in my mind, I was getting ready to do the second loop and go into the night.
Yeah.
And I was really a little panicked, but I had Damien with me, and I was about to pick up our pacers, Tom Davies and Elliot, and a couple other pacers that we had there. So it was going to be fun.
Yeah.
Kobe. But I was ready to start chewing on those coffee beans.
Yeah.
And I literally was about to pull them out of my pack, and then he said, "Oh, it's canceled. You just got to run 3 miles and you're done." And I'm like, Are you kidding me? And I didn't even register to me. So I was like, "Oh, no." He's like, No, you just got to go 3 more miles and you're done." And I'm like, "Really? This is over?" "Yeah, we don't got a bridge at mile 70. It's over, man." I'm like, "Wow, no kidding." But now I'm thinking about that with Pine to Palm. Obviously we're going to have probably way different weather, and it's going to be warm. And I keep thinking in my head, okay, so I don't get to my pacer till mile 62. How long is it going to take me to run 62 miles? Where am I going to, what time of day? If we leave at 6 a.m., I think the race leaves at 6 a.m. At mile 62, where will I be to pick up my pacer so I have someone to run with in the night? Because I guess I have this kind of little bit of a fear of running by myself in the middle of some place I've never been, in the middle of the night. And
my
how do you get through
advice
that?
is this, because you can kind of, so you got your headlamp on, right? And it's lighting up the ground right in front of you. And that's really all you can see. So what you do is you kind of focus on that, and you zone, and we're trail runners, so we watch the ground.
Right.
And so you kind of focus on that, and you can miss markers.
Yeah.
and that's a bitch.
And I did that. You
Yeah,
know I did that.
yeah, every runner's
Not
done
in
it.
dark, but I've done it
And
in
I've done it
daylight.
multiple times,
Yeah.
but so that's the one thing that you really have to be cognizant of. That's why
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if Hal used reflective markers, but I think he did.
Mm.
Reflective markers at night are fantastic,
Yeah, that's
you
awesome.
know?
You see 'em.
But if they don't, like, you really have to pay attention. Like, every time you come across a section of trail, like, there's a crossing, like, you've gotta stop and look at the
Yeah.
markers anywhere. You just gotta be cognizant of that. And
Where are
that's
you at in your head though when you're, let's say it's like 2 in the morning and you're running and there's no other runners around you and it's dark and you're in a place you've never been, you've never run, and yeah, you just have that tunnel vision of looking down with where your headlamp goes, and that's it, you know. And if you have a really good waist lamp or headlamp, maybe you're lighting up a good section of the course. But yeah, what's your headspace like at that point? You're not listening to music, you're not like zoning out on anything. You're just kind of in the woods, you know, just running around and with no sleep. And I've heard a lot of people like, you know, a lot of my friends, even like Thomas and some others, are just like go into like hallucinations and just like are like, I
Thomas
don't know
is
what
getting
I'm seeing right now. What's
hallucinations.
going on? You know, I've heard it from many people. Actually, they're just like, you know, I follow ultra runners like Andy Glaze, and he just ran the 300 big monster in Arizona. You know, he's putting on his story every mile when he's in like mile 200 in the middle of the night.
Mhm.
He's just, his eyes are like bright and he's just like, he's like seeing things that aren't there, you know.
Yeah.
Damien had that experience at Lake Sonoma too. So
Now, I've never of course, I've never run a race where I've gone into the second night. I've never done a 200. So all my experiences are one-nighters, but,
mhm,
um I think, I don't know if it's because I've spent a lot of years working graveyards,
that might be it. Yeah.
and I've spent my entire career getting up early, starting like I
Sure.
get up at 3:30 in the morning right now just to start my shift,
Yeah.
and I've been doing that for so many years. I don't know if I'm just accustomed to it, but I
Mhm.
thrive at night. I have a good time at night.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the sleep deprivation. Um, the chill in the air kind of wakes me up,
That's true.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, so I just, and I think because there's like, you really have to lock in and focus
hmm
because like you said, you're out there by yourself and like, we just discussed trail markers and missing, crossing.
hmm
So, um, I think that because you have to focus, you're constantly focusing on locking in and,
Yeah.
and those things, constantly assessing you, yourself, your gear and everything around you. So I don't know but it just kind of keeps me alert, I guess.
And you hit some lows
Oh yeah,
and
you
you
hit
hit some
lows. Yeah, you hit
highs.
lows, but
And, you know, you ride out the highs real good, and, like, I hit a lot of those at Lake Sonoma, and, I mean, again, I didn't run the full 100 because it got canceled, but when we were in mile 40, 50, and it felt like we were in mile 90 because of the weather and how crappy it was, but, yeah, I hit a bunch of lows where I was like, and I would scream out to Damien, he'd say the same thing, "Oh, dude, I'm riding a low. Yeah, I'm riding a low. This sucks." And
mhm,
then, "All right, where you at? I'm riding a high, dude. I'm just gonna run hard right here." And
yeah,
then boom, and, you know, it just, like, comes in waves. It's like,
yeah.
"Whoa, it's so much," you
The
know?
the where I hit my biggest low is probably about, if I'm still running when the sun comes up, when that sun comes up.
Mhm.
When that sun comes up, my eyes start getting tired.
Yeah.
It reminds
Same.
me of driving home from a graveyard shift.
Yeah.
You leave the office and that sun starts coming up.
Yeah,
And
you're
you've got
just
a
like,
long drive
"Oh,
home. It's
you're
tough.
done."
Um, but you will cherish the cold or the chill nights at Pine
Mhm.
de Palm if it's hot. I promise you.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
When I ran it, they had record heat. Thomas will tell you.
Oh,
They had record heat that weekend, and I think he hit 103 that day, and it
wow.
was awful.
Wow.
Yeah. Thomas and I stopped at Walmart on the way because I couldn't find those ice bandanas anywhere. They
Oh,
were
yeah,
sold
yeah,
out.
yeah. I got one of those. Those are
Yeah.
great.
So if you have one, bring
Oh,
it.
yeah.
So Thomas and I stopped at Walmart on the way up, and I bought a long sleeve, like synthetic, like running workout shirt.
Mhm.
And we cut the sleeves off and tied the
There you
ends
go.
of them, and Hal had ice at all the aid stations, so
Yeah,
I
cool.
filled them with ice and wrapped it around my neck, and it changed the game for me.
Yeah,
It
that's a good
really
one.
helped out.
Yeah.
But regardless, the heat was one of the most awful things I've ever
Right.
experienced. And I just remember when that sun just started to go down below the crest,
Yeah.
man, and then like you get in the shade, like you could feel the temperature just drop. Like you could just feel it going down as you're running through the shade. And it
Yeah.
was just like it just changed things for me. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
big time.
The night was it was awesome.
Night was awesome.
Yeah.
Just set into gear. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, I don't know for you, the way I kinda, like, look at all this stuff, I, like, compartmentalize my race completely. I don't look at, like, 0 to 100 at all. I'm like, "Okay, I know where all the aid stations are, usually about every 8 to 10, 12 miles, whatever it's gonna be," and I just, like, I'm racing for each aid station at this point, like, trying to get to that aid station, fuel up a little bit, send me on my way, not trying to sit down, not trying to rest too much there because then I'll be screwed.
Yeah.
I'll be in a cave,
Yeah.
and I don't want that, so I keep on pushing that way, and I break the race up in digestible compartments, and it really helps me get through the first 50 to 60 miles, like, just doing that. That's what helped me at Lake Sonoma because it was so freaking hard, and I just thought about, okay, the next aid station is Warm Springs, the next aid station is Lone Rock, whatever it happened to be, and I just worked towards getting there, and I knew and Damien said it really best last time we talked, was like, you realize you're just going out there to have fun, eat a bunch of food, and drink a bunch of water, and just be out there with your boys as much as you can,
Mhm.
and if you're just doing that, then that's what ultra running is, and I
Yeah.
think that's just a simple way to put it, like, when you're running those races. With Pine to Palm, I'm not gonna be running with a buddy, so, I will have some pacers, but, yeah, I'm just, like, getting my head wrapped around it, just getting ready for the adventure, and it's a point to point, which is pretty cool,
Yeah.
and like you said before we started today, this is gonna be the last Pine to Palm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty glad. I'm pretty fortunate I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finished it.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know about Pine to Palm is a race in Ashland. It starts in Williams,
Williams, yeah.
and it's point to point, so they drop you in Williams, and you run that to the city of Ashland. It's a 100-mile race. It starts at 6 a.m. There are 24-hour finishers, but I think it's a 36-hour cutoff for the whole race.
Yeah, you're gonna be pushing just a hair over 20,000 feet.
Yeah, and it's a lot of vert.
I don't know how accurate my watch was at the time, but I think it registered like 21,000
Yeah.
feet, so
And you said it's put on by a guy named Hal, who owns Rogue Valley Runners, the store in Ashland.
Yep.
And this is going to be the swan song, the last year, which is, I don't know exactly why, but probably because it's really hard to put on a 100-mile race, I'm assuming. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you are an ultra runner and you're seeing this and you want to sign up for a fun 100-mile race, go sign up for Pine to Palm because it's going to be the last one in Ashland. And like you said, it's probably really hot.
Yeah. Thomas and I, we should talk to you about it. We should all sit down and talk about it because we've got some good experiences from that race.
Yeah, I can't wait to
There's
hear
a
about
section there that's gonna really do you in.
Oh, you do me in?
Yeah.
How many miles in?
It's late in the race. I want to say it's mile 80 to 90. So I think when you come out of it, I think you got about 10 miles left, and it's awful. It's
and everyone thinks, 10 miles,
awful.
no big deal. You've been running 80, but dude, those last few miles in big rate ultras suck. They are so hard because I don't know. You just want to be done, and you're like, and one more mile. It's like, dude, what? I just want to be out of here.
Well, this section is I want to say it's mile 80. It's like mile 80 to mile 90. It's like basically what it is. It's an out and back. It's about a 5-6
one
mile
of
out and
those.
back. But it's an out and back where you're dropping down into a canyon.
Mm-hmm.
You're climbing out a little bit, dropping back down into another canyon. I think twice, and then you have to scale like Mount freaking Rushmore, and at the top there's like flags, and you have to grab one.
Really?
It's awful.
You got to climb it, just free climb it, or you got to grab a rope, or
no? I mean, you can free climb it, but after that late in the race, your legs are trashed.
Dude,
I mean,
it sucks.
Just climbing it is a little precarious. So you get and then you come back out, but it is so steep coming out that I remember taking like 3-4 steps at a time and then stopping and catching my breath and then taking 3-4 steps at a time. It's awful.
Yeah. It's like the slowest mile.
It was one of the hardest experiences of my life, that.
Ugh.
And then you come out of that and it's pretty much a steep downhill. I think the next 5 miles is a very, very steep downhill.
Okay.
And it's, and for like, guy, me, I don't do well in the downhills.
Me either.
It devastates my knees and my hips. And you come out of that and then you just hit some rolling dirt road to the finish, and it's cool.
Yeah. So a lot of training for this race is going to be done, for me, at like Grasshopper, where we've run together a few times.
Yeah.
Grasshopper, Beath Loop, just getting the vert wherever you can get it, because we're here on the coast. We don't have a lot of vert, but Those would be the suggested areas you would say to like train for something like this here in Humboldt?
I would, if I were you, I'd hit the Alps as much as I can.
Yeah,
And because
totally.
the race is September, you'll have
Yeah.
plenty of
Yeah, we're gonna
opportunity
hit
to
the
do
Alps
that.
for sure.
I would say that, uh, it's pretty there's some technical, like that section I just told you about, like,
Yeah,
you're not running much of that.
yeah,
It's pretty technical. So I would say, uh, uh, I'd spend some time at both probably, Stewart Fork and then also,
yeah, totally.
maybe Four Lakes Loop.
Okay,
Yeah.
good deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stewart
Stewart
give you
Fork's
the
a lot.
Stewart, you'll be able to run. It's a runnable route. You were
And
there
Stewart
last
goes
year.
up to Elk Creek, right? Or Elk
No, that
Lake.
goes up to Sapphire
What's the one that we
you're
I
talking about Canyon Creek.
Canyon, yeah.
Canyon Creek's a good one too.
Because I believe that I remember running that one last summer, and it was like getting up to that lake was a climb, kind of similar to what you were just describing with Pine to Palm. Like it literally took us, I think we did 1 mile in like an hour. It was
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
climb.
yeah,
It was like, oh my God, we're still climbing. And like and like you said, every second we'd stop, we'd have poles and everything. We'd stop, turn around, catch our breath, look at the scenery,
yeah,
go up, catch our breath. At least I was like that anyway.
yeah,
Other
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were cruising it, but I was slow. Yeah, it's a lot of climbing, a lot of work. So doing the vert work is super important for this race.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I've got another race in
Also, some
July.
heat. I would do some heat training too.
Heat training, yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Which you keep, we're not getting heat here, so
mm,
yeah.
no.
What describe to me what you would call being in Humboldt County, where it never gets above 70 degrees, like ever, really. How do you heat train here?
Well, you either travel to
Just
areas like in
leave.
the summer that are hot, like the
Mhm.
Alps, or I took advantage of the
Sauna.
sauna at the gym.
Just
Yeah, I
getting in the
was.
sauna, or do you work out in the sauna? Like, what do
Nah, I don't work out,
you just go in
but
there
I'll
and
sit in it.
like a
Sit.
half an hour,
I got to where I was in there. I was pushing an hour.
like without getting out?
Yeah, I
Wow.
was pushing an hour. Um, Probably. Well, and that, but depend. I have access to 2 saunas at 2 different gyms, but
Okay.
depending on one sauna gets much hotter than the other sauna, so it
Right.
just
Yeah.
depends on which one I'm at.
Yeah.
But the sauna that does not get as hot, I think it was pushing about 160. I was sitting in there for about
Yeah.
an hour.
It's decent.
Yeah,
It's funny because I was just
and
talking.
I was doing that probably 3, 4 days a week.
Okay.
And I didn't do it too early. I probably did it leading up to the race. So I probably started it during my taper,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A couple weeks back, I did like a little sauna tour of Arcata. Tried out all the different saunas. They had an infrared sauna at Pivotal Connections.
Yeah.
Doesn't get very hot, but it's got the infrared. I almost fell asleep on that. I took that for an hour. It was
Mhm.
literally like 110, maybe 15 degrees. Not very hot at all,
Yeah.
but like you got the infrared stuff going on, and I almost took a nap in there. And then I went from there, and I'm used to the sauna at my gym at the Health Sport, which is great. I'm usually like 180 in there. But yeah, I went to finish the Cafe Mocha over there in Arcata, and that sauna is like 200 degrees,
Oh,
ripping
is it?
hot. Well, they never turn it off.
Okay.
I don't think they turn it off because I think they take appointments all the way up till midnight every night, and they're always booked up, and they open probably at like 6 in the morning. So
Yeah.
I don't think they really turn it off.
Yeah.
And so I went in there with a friend one time, and we did an hour session, and it was like I was in there for like
In and
15
out.
minutes, and then go to the cold shower, and they have a piping cold shower like right there.
Mhm.
And then the other day I went there in there with Thomas right when he got back from his speed project from his run from LA to Vegas, and him and I and Damien went in there, and it's just so hot in there, man. And we were just like sweating, instant sweat. Like within 5 minutes, you're just.
Yeah.
You want to talk about heat training? That's probably your go-to is the shout out to Cafe Mocha.
Yeah.
$15 you can get a half hour sauna. $30 you get an hour, I think. But yeah, saunas are next level. I mean, especially for us older guys, they're
Mhm.
great for.
Yeah.
I mean, all the science behind it that's been coming out lately. All the studies have been coming out showing that 3 saunas a week decrease your chances of early death by like 30 to 40%, and 5 times a week it's up to like 60%.
Mhm.
Those are big findings.
Yeah.
So hitting the sauna after a workout is like my go-to. Like just 15-20 minutes,
Yeah.
and then I make sure to hydrate, of course, before I go in. But you're kind of like the one missing thing that people tend to don't overlook or don't really understand is like the sauna is supposed to dehydrate you. It's kind of like that's the point. You're supposed to sweat out everything. So it's best to like let it do its thing, get out of the sauna, and wait to hydrate like a half an hour.
Right.
Actually,
Right.
I found that to be really effective. So, yeah,
I
it's
think
interesting.
well, that's how I use it now, but back
Yeah,
then when I'm
yeah,
training for a race, I'm just using it for
hydrating.
the acclimation.
Yeah, right. Getting used to it.
Uh,
Yeah, totally.
so yeah, I'm eating and drinking in the sauna
Yeah, yeah.
and
Okay, let's stay on that for a sec. Let's talk about eating and drinking and fueling. So, when you're is your fueling and hydration process obviously is I would think is different from when you're just training. Like now you're just training and working on strength and all that,
Mhm.
versus a race.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. And so like what kind of diet are you on regularly these days? Like working and stuff, like with strength and work and all that.
Well, my diet's always been the same, but,
Okay,
I guess if you wanna give it a name nowadays, what is it? They all have names.
I know.
Everything's gotta have a title
Right.
nowadays. Carnivore-ish,
Yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
quite, or
yeah,
maybe ancestral
yeah.
or, so
Primal.
I eat yeah, primal, yeah. I eat a ton of protein,
Hmm.
a lot of red meat,
Yep.
a lot of organ meat, um, a lot of eggs, um, and, most of my carbs come from probably raw honey
Okay.
and berries mostly,
Yeah.
fruit. I'll eat, not always berries, but I try to focus on, local berries rather than tropical fruit, but I do some tropical fruit too, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So,
those berries, that's giving you the fiber you need, I guess. And just like, I hear a lot about like, if you're going to eat fruit, you can't overeat fruit really, but eating lower glycemic fruit is super important on a
yeah,
diet
hence the
like that.
berries, yeah,
So like
as opposed to
blueberries, raspberries,
mhm,
strawberry, all the berries are really low glycemic. Um, yeah, I eat pretty similar to that too. And then salt water in the morning or electrolytes in the morning first thing is my go-to usually.
yeah.
And that's just my regular training and race diet basically. I remember a lot of what you coached in the past when it came to nutrition for races. You're like, you really don't go away from your diet that you normally eat. You don't want to all of a sudden it's race day and you're eating something you normally wouldn't eat isn't the best idea
Yeah.
because it can lead to like gastro issues or something going on in your
Mhm.
gut and you don't want to have gut issues in a race for sure.
Oh, no.
Like so if you don't train with gels, you shouldn't just all of a sudden be like, "No, I'm going to eat gel, no, I'm going to take a bunch of gels at a race,"
Mhm.
because that could screw with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And just like for me, I get my carbs, but the meat, protein's big, eggs are huge. We have like this crazy egg shortage going on right now, but luckily I got chickens. So we
Yeah.
got plenty of eggs. I got like 18 eggs the other day from my chickens. I was like,
Ooh.
"Yo,
Yeah,
sweet."
those are good eggs
Yeah,
too, huh?
really good. Just wash them off and
Yeah.
boom. They taste so good.
I eat about 10 a day.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know the
10.
egg shortage well, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
You cook them up or you just drink them down? A little bit of
Uh,
both.
Most of the time I just drink them down out of convenience, but, I think I cooked some out yesterday, so
Yeah.
occasionally I will, yeah.
I would still tell you something about protein is I read a study and I don't know how well I'm fascinated by the science of all this stuff, but I'm taking a nutrition class right now that I'm trying to get a certification in nutrition and I just saw a study that said that we actually protein synthesis or like we can take protein at night before bed
Mhm.
and actually your body will process the protein really well and effectively while you sleep. And there's been some studies showing that this is true. So like
Yeah,
if you're somebody like me who wakes up at 5 a.m. and goes to work out, you kind of got your pre-workout going
yeah,
while you sleep.
yeah.
That's pretty amazing that protein does that, like
If I'm gonna eat late, I'm gonna try to find some protein,
yeah,
some lean protein, yeah,
yeah. Do
usually.
you find yourself well, let's talk about sleep in terms of nutrition. Do you find that you get the 6 to 8 hours you need of sleep? I mean, you
Oh,
gotta
yeah,
get up so early.
I value my sleep,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
So so you like me, you have a big family. You have 5 kids. Do you have all 5 living at home? Or
No,
one?
I only have 3 at home now.
3 at home now. I have 4 at home, and they all school in the morning and all this, but bedtimes are always all over the place. We try to be, like, routine about it,
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
we gave
tough.
up on that a long
You
time ago.
so you just go to bed and
I
get
just
your
go to
8
bed.
hours?
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Well,
"Alright."
because I get up at 3:30, so, My goal is to go to bed between 7:30 and 8.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that works for you? You could do that and the kids are, like, just up for a little
Oh,
longer?
dude, I got these wax earplugs I
And
put
you're, like,
in,
out.
and I don't hear a thing.
And your wife goes to bed too, and you guys are good?
No, she's probably usually up till about 9:30
Okay,
with the
okay.
kids, yeah.
Still, that's decent. You get
Yeah.
your 8 hours. Yeah, the one thing that we started doing in my household is my wife controls the internet. She has the password.
Oh.
And so when she's like, "Okay, I've had enough of this," boom, she just changes the password, and they come out like rats from their house, from their rooms. Are like, "Wait, who turned off the internet?" I'm like, "The internet's out, man. You're done.
That'll
Go to
put 'em
bed."
to sleep quick, huh?
Yeah, I
There's
mean
nothing to do.
that's what's keeping them up. So yeah,
There's not even TV to watch
but
nowadays.
it is tricky, being I'm 47 and I like to wake up at 5 in the morning. I like to get right after it to the gym, 2.5 hours usually in the gym in the morning. And it's hard because if I didn't get my 6 to 8 hours, and 6 being the absolute minimum, anything less than 6 and I'm screwed.
Yeah.
So really trying to aim for 8. It's tough to go to bed at 9 and wake up at 5. That's what I have to do to get 8, and I'm laying down for sure at that time, but, like,
Yeah.
man, it's really tough when you have a household like that, and I've seen that, and I follow some people on Instagram, these dads that are, ultra athletes or endurance athletes and have big families. It's tough being our age,
Mhm.
having kids in the house, trying to balance everything, work, life, all these things, and still find time to get in the gym and work and get after it. It's a grind. But I also
People the amount of time that ultra runners spend training
yeah,
is amazing.
it's crazy.
And then you add on top of that full-time job,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, you add a family, wife or husband, and kids. Yeah. I mean, that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
You look at some of these runners who just run, or and maybe that's just what they do for a living, or they don't have a full-time job, or maybe they do, but they don't have a family, or
Right.
or a small family.
Right.
They're fantastic. What they do is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to
wild.
knock what they do, but being a full-time dad and fully employed father of 5, um, I see another fully employed father or mother of 5 out there doing that. Like I'll wink at them. Like
Yeah.
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, big ups.
I know how hard that is.
Big props.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a
I've
big
just
deal.
been talking about it a lot, and this my whole theory of the 5 Fs, when you got, your family, your friends, your finances, your fitness, and your faith. And those are the things in my life that help me be what I call an expansive human being,
Mhm.
right? It's not multitasking. It's taking all of those areas and really expanding on them as much as I can.
Yeah.
And using the 24 hours that we have in a day,
Mhm.
8 hours of it sleeping, but 16 hours of it, it's scheduled out. A lot of it is for me, and
Yeah.
it has to be. And so the whole 5 a.m. thing for me, it's carving out the time. I know when my family's going to be sleeping, so I know that I can carve that time out for myself, and I don't feel bad about it,
Yeah.
because a lot of people say, "Don't you feel bad about putting that much time and energy into yourself?" And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not a selfish thing. It's completely the opposite. It's selfless, because what I'm doing here is I'm trying to be better for me so I can be better for them."
Mhm.
And I've heard it said a million times, and I believe it, that I don't want to be the taker of energy in my family. I want to be the giver of energy.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I can get stronger in those 5 areas, especially we'll talk about faith, because you're a man of faith too. It's just so important to be healthy and strong in these areas, because that's how you can live this life. And it's a full life, and I'm so grateful for it every day. I mean, one of the biggest things I practice when I wake up is gratitude.
Yeah.
Because, dude, how can you not be grateful that you get to wake up, you get to go exercise, you get to go run, you get to be in a healthy body at your age, and you get to have children around you that laugh and play and are doing great things, and you're involved in their lives, and like you're coaching, and you have a wife who's supportive, and she's also a badass too and crushing it. And your wife runs too, right?
She runs and
Yeah.
lifts, yeah,
And
quite a bit.
she lifts,
She runs more than I do now.
yeah, she's kicking ass. So like, it's just that it's not easy. It's not easy. It's definitely a grind, and that's the whole thing. Is like, people, if you're gonna have this kind of life, you got to put in the work. Like every day, you got to go out there and get the grit and go for it every single day. And it's never going to be easy. I've never found running to necessarily be easy. Like sometimes there's some easier runs,
Yeah.
but it's never easy.
No.
It's always going to be hard, and I love doing hard things because it helps me grow. Still at this age, in my mind, it helps me grow to be the person I want to become.
Hmm.
And so I want to touch down a little bit about faith and like one of the greatest things when you were coaching me, one of the coolest things you said. I remember the moment very very vividly. We were sitting at the coffee break. Shout out to Michelle at the coffee break. We were sitting at the coffee break. You were in uniform. We were chatting. It was probably our first time ever meeting face to face and chatting. And I was training for this marathon, and
Hmm.
I'd never run a marathon, and we were
No,
working
that
on that.
wasn't. That was at the coffee shop on F Street. First time we met.
F Street, in Northtown,
Old Town
Old Town,
or Northtown or where?
Northtown.
Yeah,
Oh, shout
yeah.
out to
No, it
Northtown.
wasn't Coffee Break.
We did go
We
to
have
coffee
met at
break a
Coffee Break
lot.
many times.
We like a lot of coffee shops because you like shots.
Coffee Break's my digs.
Coffee break, shots
Yeah.
are your two spots. Shots and Fortuna.
Yeah.
Coffee break, Michelle, shout out. But also
We love
Holly,
her.
shout out. Northtown, she knows I love her. I've shouted her out before. But yeah, we met there. So like one of the coolest things we were talking about the marathon, and I had never even the furthest I had run at that point when I met you was maybe a half marathon, and I hadn't put any kind of distance in or even thought about trail running. It was just a bucket list thing. I was like, I just want to run a marathon.
Yeah.
And like I remember one thing you said, well, you know what, man, you're going to run ultras. And I'm like, because we started talking about faith a little bit. And I was like, I don't know, man. And I don't remember exactly the words you said, but it was something along the lines of like, if you really want to find God, run an ultra. It was something like that you said to me. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like that
Yeah.
really stuck with me. I was like, what does he mean by that? But then as I started to run more distance, I go, oh yeah, this stuff is hard.
Well, it's similar to the old saying, there's no atheist in a foxhole. You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing.
That's good.
You hit such a low out there that you start turning to
You're begging.
Yeah, you're begging.
You're praying.
Yeah. Yep. You
Yep.
start praying.
But the cool thing about that is you also realize you're not running alone when you think you are. When you're like, oh, I'm alone out here. I'm feeling down. I'm feeling low. This sucks. Maybe a little fear setting in.
Mm-hmm.
There was moments, and I've talked about this in my church a little bit, but like there was moments where I was out there running alone and sort of afraid a little bit, and I just felt a presence.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it started. That's where it really started to start back up for me. And, like I hadn't been going to church. I hadn't been really deep in my faith for a while. It was, of the 5Fs, it's the one thing that I had a lot of question marks when I first started this whole 5Fs idea. And I build my faith on the fact that one of these days I was out running, I was just feeling alone, feeling afraid, feeling like a little lost, and the presence just came over me. It was I can't really like put words to it, but I felt the presence of God right there. Boom. I was out there in the middle of nowhere, no cell service, nothing, and I felt him. And then when I DNF'd at an ultra, I remember feeling him again. Like, oh, there's a reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I shared this story with you before, but this is a really cool story. And I don't even know if I told my wife this because, okay, so I'm going to tell it as quick as I can. So a while back, I was running in Arcata, and I was feeling so good. I was having a just total runner's high. And I remember saying almost out loud, but definitely in my head, like, all right, God, if whatever you got for me, whatever challenge you got for me, bring it on. I'm ready. Bring it on.
Oh boy.
The next day, Belle tells me we're pregnant.
That's right.
And we hadn't had a baby in 11 years. We'd had 3 other kids. And I was like, whoa, that's the challenge.
Careful what you ask for, huh?
So we actually had a walk with we didn't tell anybody. We were about to go to New York to see my mom. The whole time we were in New York visiting, we never told them because we weren't sure. We were like, this is wild. We were just like, wow, this is a big change.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember like a lot of heavy conversations surrounded by God and where that fit into the picture. And with we had a nice walk with our pastors, Bethany and Jason, and we told them. We were the first person we told about it, and they gave us some really great advice, and it was just a really beautiful walk in the marsh. But when I was out running that first ultra that I ever signed up for in La Sierra Endurance 50K, I DNF'd because I didn't see the trail markers, and I had 1% on my phone and no service. I had to satellite 911 to get my location so I could get pulled out because I didn't know how to get back. I was like 8 miles on the PCT, way off from the race, right?
Yeah.
And I was already 15 miles deep, and the guy said I was like in the top of the pack at that point. So I was doing really well. So it was like no reason other than I just got lost. And I just remember sitting out there waiting for them to come get me and just being like, "Dude, why? Why? What the hell? This is suck." But I felt the presence of God. And then I got back to these people came and they brought me out. I had a beautiful conversation with these older guys that were out there. It was awesome. And the ride back to the race was with this police officer, highway patrolman, just like
Yeah,
you.
I remember, yeah.
And, dude, he was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I have 3 kids." I'm like, "No kidding, me too." And he's like, "Yeah, we just had our 4th." And I'm like, "Really?" We just found out we're pregnant." "No way. I'm 47. I'm 47. It was just like this whole conversation that was totally meant to be. So the whole thing with this race, God put me in this place. I had to DNF that race because I had to meet this guy who I've kept in touch with a little bit. We've had a few text exchanges and he's asked me how the baby's doing. I actually told him that I was having a baby. He's the only other person I told
Yeah.
because I figured he was a stranger. My wife doesn't know this. I didn't tell anybody. Don't worry. I never told anybody we knew, but I had to tell him about it because I was just going through it. And dude, the advice he gave me and everything, and we had just like this long conversation about God. I was like, this is how God shows up. He shows up in these moments. He brings these people into your lives.
Not a coincidence, is it?
Not a coincidence, no. And it's just that your faith gets stronger and stronger, and you look back and you go, oh, like here I am. I set out to run this marathon, and I ended up running 4 or 5 that year, and I ended up running these ultras, and I ended up going on all these adventures and running all this mileage that I never thought was possible because I put all these limits in my head.
Mhm.
Well, God took those limits away. And anytime you struggled, you just put the struggle on him.
That's right.
And he, because Jesus, he carried the cross.
Mhm.
He did it all for us. And so for me, it's like I just put it on him every time. Man, I don't feel fear. I don't feel. It's just so much less. It's not as hard as it seems. To put it on him. And I just start doing that when I run. And man, you just blow yourself away because you're like, holy cow, how could I run this much? How could I do all this? These I had so much limit on this, and it's just gone now.
Yeah. And, it kind of helps me because, I've learned that all this is just meaningless, all this, everything, all of this, everything's just
Sure.
meaningless, right?
Yes.
And so, like, it kind of helps me kind of minimize what I'm doing out there, if I don't, like, it takes away that fear and that stress of not finishing or not doing well, right? It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
If I don't finish, I don't finish. I go home.
Yeah.
I got a beautiful wife and kids.
Yeah.
Who cares?
You have so much to be grateful
Yeah.
for.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
If I do finish, great.
Right.
If I don't, it doesn't matter. It's meaningless. It doesn't matter.
Totally. No, it's totally true, man. Like, I just feel like we're not out there running for some prize. We're not running out there for some time necessarily or to be the fastest to any of that stuff. We're just out there for us. It's you against you. And yeah, you're right. In the end, it really is meaningless. Maybe you get a belt buckle, but like it's there's not much. But it does mean something to me to be able to overcome fear. It does mean something to me to be able to overcome hardship and to be able to do something that for 40 plus years I put limits on myself and said, yo, you'll never run a marathon, you'll never run an ultra, you'll never do these things, and it beyond running it, you'll never be this great father, you'll never have this kind of life. You just doubt sets in, anxiety sets in, all these things, depression, and they can rule your life if you choose. But once you choose in him to put all of that fear, that anxiety, all that stuff onto him and let him carry it,
brings you a lot of peace, doesn't it?
brings you so much peace. It brings you so much balance. It's just amazing. And like your faith gets stronger, and that's one of my 5 Fs. And if you can make your faith stronger and then translate that over to your family and let each member of your family, your immediate family, your extended family, your friends, everyone to realize what faith can do in your life and to build a life of faith. All good things through him. Philippians 4:13.
Mm-hmm.
He strengthens me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's Proverbs 27:17 that says iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
So having a conversation with you today and just chatting about that is just special.
Buddy,
it's
I
awesome.
remember that conversation. We were on Grasshopper still.
Yeah. Oh, that
Okay.
was awesome.
I remember that. I think we talked about God the entire run.
Yeah. 20 miles.
When we got home, I care less about the run. I was stoked to talk to Shannon about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about.
I'll never forget that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he put me in these places for a reason. He put me on those runs with you for a reason. He brought you into my life for a reason. And I want to leave it on that note, that I think it's super important to realize what God can do in your life.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. Aaron, I really appreciate you, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing how well you do with the coaching,
I appreciate
with
it,
the
man. I'm
basketball
excited.
coaching. I can't wait to go to a game. Season starts in October,
Uh, I think we'll start playing in December, but we'll
December. Okay.
probably start
Yeah,
practicing
high
in
school
probably
starts in
November.
December.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we got a lot of summer stuff going on, and,
Yeah.
summer league's coming up. We'll start next month, and we'll spend a month or 2 doing that, but I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Cool. I can't wait to go to some games.
This is the high school level it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's something else,
It's
especially
fun,
around here.
man.
It's gonna
It's
be
so
great.
fun.
Yeah, a lot of competition. That's gonna be great. So looking forward to that, man, and everything else that you got going on. And appreciate you coming back, man.
Yeah,
You're now
anytime,
the
dude. This is fun.
second time here on the pod. So
Yeah.
yeah, you were my first guest ever. So man, good to see you as always, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, buddy.
All right, man.
All right.
Thanks for checking out the Grit Podcast episode. What was it, 18, 17? I don't know. I always lose count. Check out the episodes are always going to be dropping every Saturday. So check that out on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Apple Music. You can check out the podcast. And yeah, thanks for Aaron Stacy for being here. And thanks for Nick. And we'll see y'all very soon. All right, peace.